Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Aset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, somebody asked me to talk about something that was very interesting. They asked me to talk about energetically stalking. Which you might be like, how do you energetically stalk somebody? It's very interesting, this question. Basically, the person was saying that they think, or they've heard that people can bind themselves to you, make their presence known, or come to you in dreams. And this is very true. It's not something that everybody knows how to do, but somebody who is manipulative enough with energy can do this. Somebody who is, for example, talented in spell casting, candle magic, for example, can very easily do a binding spell. There's a lot of binding spells. I've seen about 50 or 60 in my time, and anybody can make up one at any given time. So binding spells, spells that bind someone to you, are very common. They also asked about like making their presence known to you. So like this person was saying they keep seeing this person in their dreams. And I was saying in another video, I was talking about dream walkers. And you might see this. If you Google it, you might see some information on it. I haven't seen a lot on it outside of pagan communities. But because I experienced it many times, I guess it's just mostly from experience, but you can Google it too. And the term is dream walker. A dream walker, I'm not sure if the term came from the Native American tradition, but I think it came from one of the older traditions, and I think it may be from that tradition. But basically, a dream walker is a person who can they can manipulate their own dreams and the dreams of other people. So for example, they can come into your dream. They can appear as themselves, or they can appear as another person or animal or something like that. These people will come into your dreams generally to talk to you, because remember, a lot of times when a person does this, it's somebody you're not speaking to or somebody who wants to get to know you, who doesn't really know you. So you may be having strange dreams about a person that you're not speaking to, for example, and it's funny because as I'm sitting here talking about this, I experienced this with Voldemort. And for years and years and years, I would see him in dreams. And sometimes we'd be arguing. Sometimes we'd be talking. Sometimes it wasn't him. It was like symbolic. It was like a different person or an animal or something like that. But it was something that I would associate with him, And at first, I thought it was my subconscious, because I was like, I was wrestling with our, situationship and the ending of the situationship. So I was like, well, maybe it's just me. But it was too weird, and it just kept on happening. So over time, I realized that he was a dream walker, but I wasn't sure if he was a conscious or unconscious dream walker, because some people can do this they just do it. They don't even know what they're doing. They just do it. A lot of people who have special abilities know how to use the ability, but they don't even know it is an ability, and they really don't know what it's called. I meet people all the time that be like, oh, I've been doing that since I was 3. They have intuition, or they have premonitions, or they have prophetic dreams, or they're a dream walker. And they've been doing it since they were 2 and 3 years old, but nobody ever said what it was, or nobody ever told them about it, or they never talked about it before in many cases. So I knew he was doing that. And one day, like within the past 4 years, recently, he was talking to me, and he was like, oh, when I want to talk to somebody, I just go to sleep. And I was like, what? Excuse me? like, excuse me? Because I had never mentioned this to him, that I knew this. And he said, yeah, when I want to talk to somebody and they're not speaking to me, or they've passed away, or whatever the case is, I just think about them and go to sleep. And I always see them in my dream. And I was like, that's why I keep seeing him. And I knew it. I already knew it, but he told me. He told me without saying, yeah, I'm coming to you in your dreams. He said it. And I was like, wow, I knew it. So my experience of it has been that. So yeah, a person can do that. Some people do have that ability. And the more spiritually inclined a person is, because Voldemort is very intuitive, and even though he has all these, problems, issues, he has some things about him that are pretty interesting. First of all, he's intuitive. Second of all, he has this dream walker ability. And third of all, he also used to see, and probably still does, see spirits, which is called mediumship. So often, if a person has abilities, even just one, it's common for them to be able to do stuff like this. So he's able to dream walk. So a lot of people have that ability. They can go talking to people in their dreams. And the rest of us, how we will receive this is as a dream. We'll see the person, we'll be talking to them. We might even tell our friends and family, yeah, I had a dream about grandmom last night and I was talking to her. But, grandmom's still alive, and, but grandma may have the tendency to dream walk. And if there's a conversation she wants to have with you and she can't or doesn't feel comfortable bringing it up, her spirit may come to you, and on the what we call the astral plane, the spirit may talk to you there, your spirit talking to their spirit. A lot of times they say that your spirit on the astral plane is the better part of you. It's your higher self. It's your soul. So that part of you could be talking to that part of the other person. So you two might not even be talking in real life, but your souls will talk to each other. Your spirits will, and this would happen to me all the time. And I didn't know, like I said, we receive it as just a dream. But if it keeps happening, you like, wait a minute, that's not no dream. This keeps on happening. And we're having very specific conversations, or we're arguing about something. I've seen Voldemort several times when we argued. Other times we were talking about like something unrelated, but kind of like burying the hatchet in some cases. It's been very strange. But for him to say that to me is when I pieced it all together. I was like, oh my God, he's a conscious dream walker. He knows that he dream walks. So anyway, the bottom line is that some of us may come across people like this. You may come across people who can dream walk. You may come across people who will do binding spells. A binding spell is a spell to bind their energy, to bind their spirit. Usually two people bind themselves together. A lot of the spells were kind of like done for marriages and like, bonding ceremonies. So it was usually two people promising themselves to each other. They're bonding to each other. But a person can bind themselves to you, magically speaking, spiritually speaking. And if you don't like that person, or if you don't want that person around you, you could be wondering why you always feel this person's presence, or why you feel it at certain times. And it could be because they bound themselves to you, energetically speaking. Now, what can you do about these things? Pretty much nothing. I mean, if somebody binds themselves to you, you can break it. If you have a skilled enough magic worker around you, they can break the energetic bind. Some of them never go anywhere, and you just kind of ignore them, for the rest of your life, Sometimes you can break them. In the case of the dream walker, you can do things like you can wear different things. You can say prayers before bed. You can put things on your bed to keep you from getting attacked in your sleep, from negative energy. But it's always been my understanding that dream walkers really don't come to hurt you. They come to talk to you. They come to communicate with you. So generally, your spirit will let a dream walker come to you because, again, it's going to your spirit to spirit. So generally, your spirit will let a dream walker come talk to them and talk out or argue out or whatever it is, because they really can't hurt you. You see? Only things that can hurt you will be stopped by something. Like I keep talismans and crystals by the bed. So like, for instance, I have black obsidian by the bed. So if something negative comes in the middle of the night, and this black obsidian or the other protection amulets, I got like one protection amulet on one side, one protection amulet on the other side. So if something energetically comes in, it's going to be stopped by that vibration. But if somebody comes in who's a dream walker, who's not trying to harm you, who's not a negative vibration, that energy probably will talk to you. So some people tell me that they experience this all the time, and they're like, am I crazy, or is this person really coming to me? Yeah, it's possible. It just depends on the person. Sometimes, like I said, it's your subconscious working through whatever the situation is with that person. And other times it is actually that person coming to you in your dream because they can't talk to you any other kind of way. So these things can be very disturbing, especially like, I didn't want to talk to Voldemort. I didn't want him coming in my dreams. I didn't want to see him, period. So it can be very disturbing when you just like, get out my face, and the person keeps on coming. But I would suggest, and this is what I ended up doing towards the end, I started to just have the conversation. I started to just, because consciously I would wake up and I'd be having this conversation. So I decided, okay, just talk. Just talk. I mean, your physical selves can't talk to each other, so let your spiritual self talk to him. And the last conversation we had wasn't really that long ago in the astral plane, and that's what I said. I was like, let's just let this go. Let's just bury the hatchet, So at least if our spirits can decide on that and, decide to make it so, then maybe our physical realities will do the same thing. Because like I said, it's annoying when you don't want the person to come to you, but maybe you can use it to your advantage to clean things up. Who knows? All right, guys, let me know in the comments section, can you dream walk, or have you ever been visited? They also call it astral projection. So if you Google astral projection, astral traveling, dream walking, you'll be able to see some more information about this. Books have been written on it, things like that. But I generally see it talked about in the pagan community, not too much outside. So check it out and let me know if you've experienced this before. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me because I'll be glad to give you an appointment. Also, if you have a question or a comment or just a general question for asking Aquarius, and remember, general questions I answer for free. Like, why are Aquarius so eccentric? Things like that. If it's something we have not discussed before, I'll be glad to answer it for free. So email it to me. I'm also on social media, and I have a Patreon page, and I would love for you guys to become my patrons. I've been doing another video series that is exclusive just for my patrons. So you're missing out on the witch trials. That's what I call my video series. And in the witch trials, I review witch movies and tell you if they have any real witchcraft or not. And so far, many of them have had a little bit of witchcraft in them, and some of them had none at all, and some of them were amazing. So check out my Patreon page if you want to see my other video series. All right, guys, see you later.